Welcome, Monbebe. This is the Tiki Taka Takeover project, an MX AirPlay and social media project. The information referenced in this webinar was collected from the sources I have listed below. I know what you're thinking. No one listens to radio, right? Well, if you thought that, like I did, we couldn't be more wrong. Check out the stats in front of you. As you can see, 93% of the population still listens to the radio. That's 10% more than those who tune in through their smartphones. The average US adult listens to the radio 1 hour and 45 minutes a day. That is an hour more than what's spent on social media. Altogether, more than 243 million American adults listen to the radio each month. The aim of this project is simple. We want Monsta X to win Grammy, Billboard Music Award, iHeart Music Award, and American Music Award. Notice I didn't include any of the MTV Awards or the People's Choice Awards. I didn't do that because I could not find published documentation stating how they selected their nominees. Both entities, MTV and E, have made it a point to keep that information away from the public, so I'm going to focus on the others. It is important to understand how these awards work. How are the nominees selected? Who gets to vote? First, how to get Monsta X nominated. For the Grammys, nominees are selected by industry professionals. To go deeper into it, an industry professional, media company, or a recording academy voting member will have to submit an online entry for consideration. I'm currently planning a campaign to get Monsta X an entry, but I'll talk about that another time. For Billboard, iHeart, and AMA, nominees are selected based on a combination of different media data, which I'll go into detail on the next slide. Nominations are typically announced a month before the award show. This year, Grammy nominations were announced in November, Billboard in April, iHeart in March, and AMA in October. Know that announcement dates can change. It all depends on when the ceremony is going to take place. With that being said, since All About Love will be released in February, it might not be considered for a Billboard or iHeart Award for 2020. But if it performs well in 2020, we can get it nominated for 2021. Moving on, how to vote for Monsta X once they're nominated. For the Grammys, only Recording Academy voting members are allowed to vote. For Billboard, iHeart, and AMA, fans are able to vote by various mechanisms. Continuing on understanding how things work, we need to know who is collecting data, where, and what type of data they're collecting. Here we have Billboard, iHeart, and AMA along with their data partners, and listed below are the types of data they collect. Nielsen Music, Next Big Sound, Big Champagne, and Shazam are big hitting data analytics companies in the industry. Notice how Billboard and iHeart get their media data from the same place. Nielsen Music alone is one of the biggest companies of their kind. Their number one client is NBC Comcast. The Billboard Music Awards air on NBC. Another big client of Nielsen is 21st Century Fox. The iHeart Music Awards air on Fox. Now, the type of data that is being collected is important because this is generated by us, the fans, and they're all listed here. I want to call attention to the term key fan interactions. Key fan interactions versus impressions. Media data analytics partners count key fan interactions when we click into articles from the original source, click read more, like, leave positive comments, watch the embedded videos, or share the content using the provided icons. These type of interactions are known as key fan interactions, and they count. Impressions are basically what's known as eyes on the content. While sharing, liking, retweeting, or commenting on a tweet is great for Twitter analytics, clicking into the actual article and interacting with it has a larger benefit than the number of likes or retweets. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that impressions are not useful, but what I am saying is that interactions are more valuable. We will focus on 80 pop radio stations located in cities where the population is around or above 100,000 people. We're focusing on iHeart media stations because if you remember from earlier, iHeart has the same data partners as Billboard. So whatever we feed iHeart will double dip into Billboard's data bank, more bang for our efforts. For now, the project is set for 7 months, one for each of our members, and to take into account when all the data is collected and tallied to consider potential nominees. Now, do I think we should do this all year long? Yes, I do. Think of it this way: if we work hard for 7 months and then stop, two things could happen. One, the stations might stop playing MX because there are no more requests for them. Two, another popular artist can come out with a hit and knock our guys off the charts, undoing all our work. But let's see the impact we can make in 7 months first. To help you understand why we need to hit 80 radio stations for 7 months, let's look at some AirPlay stats collected from a 2015 broadcast report. In 2015, Ed Sheeran charted in the top 5. He got there by having his song played on the radio over 3,900 times a week, giving him a reach of over 2.8 million listeners. Based on Ed Sheeran's stats, if we're successful in our project, we will get Monsta X over 2,200 plays a week, giving them a reach of over 1.5 million listeners. For a better understanding, that same year, Macklemore charted at number 20 with over 1.3 million listeners. Not to sound too optimistic, but if we're successful, we could get Monsta X charted in the top 20. And not only is that important to get them there, it's also important how long we keep them there. Notice that the listens outnumber the plays. Why is that? Well, when you hear a song on the radio, you're not the only person listening to it, right? There are hundreds, even thousands of other people listening to the same song you are. So that's why the plays and the listens here are not one for one. This takeover project will have two squads, the AirPlay squad and the social media squad. The AirPlay squad will be responsible for calling radio stations 4 times a day requesting Monsta X. You must be in the US to be on the AirPlay squad because all those radio stations we're calling are located in the US. The social media squad, however, is open to everyone. The social media squad will be responsible for posting, tagging, maybe even DMing radio stations on their social medias. Now, from what I've seen, some radio stations have both Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. The plan is to hit all their social medias and hit them hard. Let's go deeper into what type of commitment I'm asking of Monbebe. The AirPlay squad will consist of 7 groups, one group for each month. Each group will have 7 teams. For example, Group Shonu is assigned to the month of January. Group Shonu has 7 teams, one team for each day of the week. If you're only available on Sundays to help out, you'll be assigned to Team Honey. That means that only on Sundays in January will you be scheduled to call your 2 radio stations 4 times a day. There are scheduled time blocks when you should make the calls. The time blocks are when the most listeners are tuned into the radio. The most time you'll spend calling your radio station depends on how long it takes for the station to answer your call. We will rotate months unless you choose to volunteer for consecutive months. You are also not required to volunteer for more than 1 month. The organization of the social media squad is identical to the AirPlay squad. Social media squad members will be assigned 4 radio stations to request Monsta X. Again, we will rotate months unless you choose to volunteer for consecutive months, and you are not required to volunteer for more than 1 month. This project will require work and dedication from Monbebe. I don't want Monbebe to burn out, and I don't want to add pressure to your daily lives. We're doing this all for Monsta X with the best intentions. I hope this will organize our fandom and bring us together in love and respect. So, are you ready to take over, Monbebe? You can find links to the AirPlay Squad submission form and the Social Media Squad submission form in the details selection below this video on YouTube or on any of the Monbebe Nation profiles on Twitter or Instagram. Our private Facebook group will be coming soon. Please follow us and feel free to DM if you have any questions. Let's make history, Monbebe.